So we're going to start with this. I had to do a bunch of research over the last 2 days on I really like this photo. This photo is something else, man. This photo hits hard. I had to do a bunch of research on this because I saw an article and I had to go down the rabbit hole. So I did. And so this is kind of like the series of articles that tie everything together. So hang on, let me take this crazy. All right. I have long said that there are actual consequences, real world consequences to the code we generate, to the third-party libraries, frameworks, packages, etc. that we bring into our ecosystems, to our code bases, the decisions that managers make, the decisions that executives make in order to rush these things out the door or to focus on shipping first and dealing with the consequences later. All of that has consequences that almost nobody in the tech industry, almost nobody thinks about when they make these decisions. The issue is that we leave a lot of doors open for criminals, like we just went over several of them on this stream, to get into systems that they shouldn't have access to, get information that they should never have access to, and then utilize that information out in the real world. I've been covering this for at least 8 months on my Enlightened Programming streams and on the Daily Tech News streams. And I've been saying this for a long time. And the people affected could one day end up being someone you love or yourself. And it could be because we didn't care enough when we were creating our, whatever it is we're creating, our piece of software, our website, whatever it is. We didn't care enough to do something as simple as lock down an S3 bucket, or just not use a pre-chewed library to create a feature that didn't need it. We could have done it ourselves. Things like this. So, what is one of the examples of a real-world consequence? Well, I've been through them several times, but here it is. So first of all, we have the Ledger leak. Bitcoin investor threatened with kidnapping and murder. Now, what happened, this was from, I believe, 4 years ago. Yes, from 4 years ago. Ledger is a crypto wallet exchange place, essentially. You can store digital assets in there, or you can trade in digital assets. They had a leak. And as a result of that data leak, there were some very strange or negative outcomes. Those that looked to Ledger to protect their wealth are now finding that their homes and families are at risk. Within days of warnings going out in response to a widespread data leak involving the private and personal details of 270,000 users, stories began to pour in from a number of sources. One Twitter user claims that hackers somehow obtained their SIM and used it to access and drain Coinbase accounts of Bitcoin and other assets. Worse yet, because residential addresses were part of the breach along with phone numbers, one victim has shared an exceptionally scary story on Reddit involving threats made to whoever was found at the home. I won't read that story. I won't read it because it's pretty messed up. Apparently, a meth addict threatens Bitcoin investor demanding Monero or else. A self-proclaimed meth addict phoned the Ledger customer, claiming that only expletives that are loaded buy those, and that if the user didn't pay a ransom of 10 XMR, the struggling addict would come directly to the user's home to kidnap them and I'm not going to read the rest. But you can see the words here. I'll just leave it up there for a minute. The user, fearing the lives of their family and their own, was forced to call the police, who placed a squad car outside the residence in question. So I couldn't find details. I'm gonna do a bit more research. I couldn't find details as to what happened with the Ledger leak. However, this did lead down a rabbit hole of, well, how is this leaked information that we cover on a literally daily basis? I think I've gone 2 days, I believe it's 2 days of Daily Tech News streams where we couldn't find a hack. Maybe not even 2 days. It might be one episode where we couldn't find a leak hack of some kind. So this happens all the time. This information gets out there, including things like your sperm bank information. If you ever visited a sperm bank in California in 2024, I'm sorry, but your little soldier's information is out there. I'm not even kidding. So all this information gets out there, and then it's used for stuff like this, but it gets worse. It gets oh so much worse. There is literally a GitHub repo of known physical Bitcoin attacks. Yeah. An entire repo of just these attacks. Bitcoin developers swatted after months of harassment and extortion. BTM thieves strike smoke shop. Fire gun. Thieves steal 2 Bitcoin ATMs. Bitcoin trader robbed of $12,000 at Bang Bang Point. Firefighter kidnapped, robbed of $1,100, and then knifed by crypto thieves. Thieves steal Bitcoin ATM containing 2,000 euros. Cryptocurrency executive kidnapped at car wash. Bitcoin trader robbed of $28,100 at Bang Bang Point. And we've only gone in from 2015 to 2016. Let me scroll down for you. I'm still scrolling. We're in 2021 now. Look at this. Man bang banged dead in hail of bang bang fire over crypto mining rigs. Yes, people lose their lives. Yes, I'm not done scrolling. I'm still going. We're only in 2020. Businessman lured to meeting, handcuffed, beaten, electrocuted for 15 hours before being rescued by police. Wife of crypto influencer who bragged about wealth was kidnapped by 3 men. Police chase led to car crash. And finally, we're in 2020. There we go. This entire repo is dedicated to physical attacks that happen to people who have their data exposed as to who they are. Now, in some cases, that's not the case, right? In some cases, for example, that wife of the crypto owner kind of set herself up for it, if you want to call it that. That's kind of a poor choice of words, honestly, but she did brag about it, right? And it's not hard to see how someone could take that and, easily track the person down and then kidnap them. But here, let's just cover a couple of stories, how these leaks lead to identifiable information getting out into the wild. Then they get sold to people who want to act and behave in these ways. And you never know when someone you love will lose their life over something maybe not quite like this, because usually these people own a lot of crypto money. But you can imagine that this isn't the only circumstance where this happens, right? You can imagine where someone has a life savings. So we covered this already. We covered some articles where people's insurance data got out. So you can see how much insurance they have, whether it's health insurance or life insurance or whatever. Banking information gets out. And so you can see if someone has like a life savings at a company. We covered exactly that. I believe it was an Australian company that took care of people's investment money, or maybe it was savings money. They did some kind of a portfolio investing, I believe. I might have the details wrong, but it's on one of the daily tech news streams. And hackers got access to that, and they took all that money. And there was one worker who was some kind of a labor worker, and they had managed to save up something like $100,000, and they woke up one day and it's gone. But you can imagine how this kind of information gets through to other people who want to get access to that money, for example, and they might do whatever they need to do. Kidnapping, extortion, physical violence, all kinds of stuff. Absolutely. And that could be someone you love because you didn't secure an S3 bucket. And I know it sounds like a crazy, stupid, like, Spiro, what the heck are you talking about? What does securing an S3 bucket? How does securing an I can hear the arguments already. I can hear idiots online arguing with me like, oh, that's stupid. That never happens. Yes, it does. It does. And I cover this kind of stuff all the damn time. It absolutely does. And other people who don't live in the West, for example, or who don't live in Western countries, let's say, love it as we just continue to operate in this exact same way, because it just leaves the door open for all this kind of stuff. So crypto kidnapping drama comes to an end. 10 arrested, victim hospitalized. Dramatic developments in France ended with the release of a kidnapped couple, during which multiple people were arrested and the ransom they were paid was frozen. Local police confirmed that David Balland, co-founder of a major manufacturer of Bitcoin and crypto hardware wallets, Ledger, and his wife, were released from captivity on Thursday. According to media reports, 10 people were arrested. 10 people were involved in this. This is crazy. And Balland was hospitalized due to hand mutilation. La Berry Republicain claims that another co-founder of Ledger, Eric Larchevêque, received a video of Balland's mutilated finger and a demand for a large ransom. There is no public information on the amount demanded. They couldn't share more information. So they gave the money, and then they froze the money, and then they tracked down the people and arrested them. But unfortunately, the kidnapping happened, and a person got their hand mutilated. And then France hit with another crypto kidnapping case. France has just registered its 5th crypto asset-related physical attack this year. Just in France, already 5 physical attacks in 2025, as the country followed a kidnapping drama unfolding over the weekend. French media report that the kidnapped man, the father of an unnamed crypto millionaire, was freed on Saturday after being abducted last Thursday in Paris. AFP reports that the criminals kidnapped the man by pushing him into a delivery van. Bros, this is straight out of Hollywood. 4 men wearing ski masks carried out the abduction and allegedly cut off one of the man's fingers, according to unconfirmed reports. So this is, I believe these two are the same. I believe. I'm not entirely sure, because there was a name on the other one, but not on this one. The kidnappers demanded 5 to 7 million euros for the victim, who, together with his son, reportedly owns a crypto marketing firm in Malta. The man was released on Saturday evening in Palaiseau-Essonne by law enforcement, who arrested 5 people. Also, reportedly, the victim's wife said that her husband and the son were threatened in the past as well. As previously reported by Cybernews, a crypto influencer's father was kidnapped in France on New Year's Eve. However, the 56-year-old victim was found in the trunk of a car that was stopped for inspection in Le Mans while the suspects fled. Also in January, David Balland, there we go, so it is different, so we just read that one. Last year, there were 22 registered cases of physical attacks in the crypto world, which is around 22% more than in 2023, according to a public database. In 2025, the database has already added 21 cases, so it's going up. So, look, I'm not crazy. I know it sounds crazy to say what I say, to say that your code can lead, or the manager's decision, the executive's decision, the company's decision can lead to these kinds of real world consequences. But this isn't the first time, and it won't be the last time that I read articles like this. That SysQ report on my Enlightened programming stream, which is now just its own video on my YouTube, that entire report is just case study after case study of people being physically impacted in negative ways. We don't even know how many people lose their lives to cybersecurity exploits being used in the wild. We actually don't know. It's not a quantifiable number, but it happens. That's the bad news. The good news is this stuff is preventable, mostly preventable, not 100%, but it's far more preventable than it is right now, than what we're doing right now. And it takes very little effort. I think we could see a turnaround in less than a year if we actually put just a little bit of effort into ensuring that programmers took just a bit of time to understand basic security measures, to understand basic fundamental principles of programming, how things operate under the hood, not in detail, just a little bit. If we pretty much forced companies, so to speak, to understand that they need to take a bit of extra time locking down security holes that they might have, doing audits, etc. I think it would take no more than a year, and you don't have to do it across the entire industry even. I mean, the effort level is pretty minimal. It might cost a little bit now, but it would save so much money, and in the long term, it would actually lead to more money and more quality outcomes and so forth. This is all within reach, but nope. Instead, we're doing this.